Pastor, and thank you for joining me on this week's edition of Talking It Out with Groff Funeral Homes and Crematory. Today we're going to discuss burial vaults. And burial vaults, the first thing you need to know, are required by all local cemeteries. And the reason that they are required by all local cemeteries, I'm actually going to point to an illustration for you. This illustration here on the left, we're going to focus on the middle picture. What the middle picture shows is a casket that's buried underground that is not being protected by a burial vault. So there's two things I want to point out to you. Number one, since a burial vault is not being used, the integrity of the casket has been compromised. You can see the damage that has been done due to the weight of the earth and the weight of the elements. The second thing I'd like to point out is on ground level, you can see the large dip. That's obviously an issue if there's a marker, a monument, or any type of memorial at ground level. That's going to have an issue staying where it needs to stay. Obviously, those are two things the cemetery doesn't want, the funeral home doesn't want, and the family doesn't want. So that is two main reasons why the cemetery does require a burial vault when you're burying a casket. And I have pulled a couple options here for you for some of our most popular burial vaults. This one here is a steel air seal. It's made out of 12 gauge steel. It's actually manufactured by Clark Vault Company in Columbus, Ohio. And the way these work is they have a base that has a couple elevations in the middle that the casket sits on top of. And then the top structure, the dome shaped, lowers on top of the base once the casket is sitting on the base. And there's a locking mechanism that locks those things into place. And then the whole structure can be lowered safely into the grave. Over here, we have a concrete top seal vault. It works a little bit differently. What happens with this is the casket is lowered down into this structure here. There's a sealant that goes all the way around, and then the lid goes on top. And then once again, the whole structure can be lowered down into the grave safely. So those are just a couple examples. For the steel, there's a lot of different options in what the steel's made out of. 12 gauge steel, 12 gauge galvanized stainless steel. And then with the concrete top seals, there's a lot of different options with the liner that can line the inside of the concrete, which can help with moisture and other things that happen underneath the earth. So those are just a couple of the most popular options, and that's also, we explained earlier, why cemeteries require burial vaults. So hopefully you learned a little something today. Thank you for joining me on this week's edition of Talking Out with Groff Funeral Homes and Crematory. And as always, I'll see you next week.